Hello once again, Dave.
Ian, how you doing?
I'm well, and we have a guest today.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Just kicking in the door.
You guys are going to find out I like to ruin other podcasts' intros. So,
hell yes.
Well, I mean, well done. And really, there's not much to ruin because our intro is always the worst part of our show.
That's how they all are.
Yeah, because it's, hey, we're in your ears all of a sudden.
Right.
Hi, guys. Yeah, it's always awkward. Anyway, Jeff Glucker, co-founder of Hooniverse, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Are we also, I have a question now that I thought of it, now that we are rolling.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you also show the video portion, or is it just audio?
We show the video. It goes to
Okay.
YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Just in case I have to describe something.
Sure. And
that's good to know.
I share a browser and we'll show images and stuff like that.
Oh, perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
We're simultaneously very competent and a mess. Just both. It's the same.
Like every podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a very good plate of spaghetti. Yeah.
Right.
I like it.
Anyway, so I think that the reason I whenever we invite guests on, I always want to have some sort of hook or angle, so I'm not asking you the same questions you get asked on every rinky-dink podcast that you come on. And I think my theme with you that has been going through my head is that I have small children, and I believe you do as well. And it feels like I have, I'm going to say, 75 jobs. You are a man with a lot of jobs and a lot of different irons in the fire.
Sure.
Making snapping noises. I'm trying not to do snaps for the audio. And so let's just run through the list real quick, and then we'll get into some of them.
It's not as long as it used to be. In the middle of COVID, I was doing freelance work for Cox Automotive they had a side channel that they started right before the world went to shit, called Ride.Tech, which was mobility focused. And I was doing freelance video for them. And it was great. Mostly just production side, barely in front of the camera. It was really fun. We started doing more front of the video. I mean, I still like front of the video stuff. And then the world went down, and everybody needs to save money. That's the first place Cox Automotive is going to be like, all right, well, sunset that thing. And then they had to fire because Cox Automotive also owns, Manheim Auctions, which is a huge organization. Think about every wholesale auction across the country. They make news because it's like Cox Automotive lays off 15,000 people. Well, was mostly auction people, because you can't run an auction during when COVID first hit. There are other parts of the country that would disagree, but you can't run an auction. And then so they saved 2 freelancers, and it was me and my buddy, because we were doing video production. And then they realized they could get rid of their other video team they were using, even though they were a fantastic video team that was not in-house, but they paid them a lot of money every year, but they did good work. But they're like, well, these two can do a fair bit. We're like, well, don't expect what they were doing. They're like, we won't. And we're like, all right, well, then we can do it. And so the Kelley Blue Book side of thing, Micah Musio and Lynn Woodward are the 2 main faces over there. And they're like, well, we're going to bring you on full time, and you can be the video guy on the Auto Trader side. I was like, well, can I do some of the other stuff I was doing? I really I would love a free or a salaried fixed position. That's what you fight in this industry for. It's such a wild concept. And my boss, who is great, and he understands all this stuff, and he wants to do some of his own stuff too. He's like, yeah, you can still do Hooniverse. And then as long as things pop up that aren't the same thing as Auto Trader, yeah, go do it. So I have my show on Motor Trend, which we're waiting to hear about another season. I actually just shot an episode of a new show that's coming out for them. I'm just in one episode, and I can't talk about what the show is yet, but I co-hosted our episode with Jared Deanda, which was a lot of fun, from Formula Drift. Awesome guy. Love Jared. And then, I've brought the podcast back. I still do Hooniverse stuff, though it's harder and harder to do it every day, because I'm not a one-man band, but I'm very close to it. And then, so the main gig is the Auto Trader stuff. The side gig is the Hooniverse stuff, which is great for lowering my taxable income every year, because it's a lot. And then occasionally these freelance things pop up. So it's a lot less wild than it used to be ever since the Auto Trader stuff has kind of grounded me, I should say.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, and let's talk really quick about, you mentioned the Motor Trend thing, and I did want to get into that because
Sure.
you host a show on Motor Trend On Demand called Shift Talkers, which is like a really cool like talk show, game show sort of hybrid thing. How did all that like come together, and were you involved in like the pitching the concept of that, or
No,
did they approach you?
I didn't do any of the conceptual idea stuff on that. The guy who created that show is a man named Bart Bidlingmeyer, who was a kind of a host on Donut for a long time, and then he was no longer with Donut. He was looking for a little bit of work, and I got him hired when we were still doing the Ride.Tech thing to be a writer, because we did a weekly news show. And I got him a job as a writer on that. Well, at the same time, he just got a gig in show development for Motor Trend. And so he came up with a show, and then he's like, it was like one of those paying it forward things. I got him a gig when he needed it at a time he needed it. And then he reached out, he's like, hey, we have this show coming out. And it was right beginning of COVID again. They needed content, and Shift Talkers is perfect for like that time. Because it was basically a Zoom. This first season was, I think we actually used Zoom for the first season. And he pitched me as a host in a development meeting, and they were like, do you think he would do it? And I would love to sit in those meetings, because you'd be like, yeah, he would do it. Call, like, do you think he would do it? I don't know why people think I'm like, or Ian, you too, like, yeah, you're very busy. I'm like, well, there's times I'm not, like, just consider me for things. So Bart reached out, we set it up. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then we got some amazing guests that first season. We got some intimidating ones, but we all kind of figured out how to get the show. And then we got the second season. I think the second season flowed really nicely. We got some of the great personalities from season one, like Kristen Lee, I think is a great reoccurring guest on there. Yeah. Amongst many others. And it just went really well. And then we're just waiting on a season 3. Discovery and Motor Trend are really like hashing a lot of things out, and they're doing things that I can't talk about yet. And it's kind of like Shift Talkers is easily one of the cheapest shows they produce. Like it's Zoom based. I can tell you, I don't make a ton of money from it, but it'd be foolish for them not to do it just because it is so inexpensive. And so what I've heard is, yeah, we keep talking about it in development meetings. We just don't have a date yet. So like it keeps being brought up. It's just there's no firm date for when we're going to start shooting the new season. So
right.
But it's fun. Okay. I mean, wound up on TV, which is cool. It was on demand, and then a couple times it ran on actual television, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, like in one of the Discovery channels or whatever. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it is a lot of fun too, because people did I feel like as the show progressed, like people brought hotter and hotter takes.
Yeah.
And that's always those are always the best episodes, when somebody like really wants to. The Zach Clackman thing with the pop-up headlights was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was very happy we got Zach on there. He's a man who I think deserves more praise and attention in the industry, and I think he's been getting it since he's taken a bigger role at the Smoking Tire and all that stuff. So he's one of the funniest, like wittiest guys I know.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So the other thing that we definitely wanted to ask you about before we get too far is Autopia 2099.
Yeah.
For everybody listening at home, I made sure they asked me about this. So,
well, so we, like automotive enthusiasts, and EVs are obviously not exclusive, like mutually exclusive, right? So we love EVs here. Like we love normal boosty boy engines. We love everything, right?
Right.
And so so tell us about Autopia 2099.
Sure. It was, I mean, I got to give all the credit, or, the majority of the credit to Bradley Brownell, one of the co-founders of Radwood. He pitched the idea initially to some of his Radwood brethren. They were like, nah, we're good. We don't want to do that. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to take this idea to other people. Like I pitched it to you first, and he reached out to me and a few other folks. And I was like, immediately, I've been getting more and more into the EV stuff. I still, love old cars. I love V8 engines. I love all of that stuff. And I also really like EVs now these days. I drove cross country in one, which was a hell of an experience. And ever since then, I've kind of just been paying more and more attention to them. And I mean, how can you not these days? But he pitched the idea of the show, and then we just kind of started getting together. And for that first show too, he actually put up a lot of his own money to make sure it happened, and it did. And every sponsor that we sold into it immediately after the event was like, we want in on the next one. We hadn't even thought about a next one yet. They're like, we want a next one. So we're going to do 2 for this year. You know, you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to go from 1 to 5. So we're going to do 2. We're going to double it. We're going to do a Northern California one. And then in the winter again, we're always going to kind of make the winter show the Southern LA show. And we already have someone who reached out to us for a venue. I don't want to say yet because nothing's signed, but the venue for the winter one could be pretty sweet, especially for people who love cars. And the Northern California one, we do have a venue locked down, and it's going to happen on August 6th. And it's going to be there's a building down on one of the piers in San Francisco, which looks really cool. It's going to look great for photos and video and all this stuff. And we're really excited on it. And more sponsors are coming on. Nissan is still a presenting sponsor, but we're going to have potentially a tire sponsor. I'm trying to get, one of the RC car companies, just something else to play with. And, we're always trying to get more and more out of it. And it's very interesting. It's a show that has a lot of potential. So
I never thought about RC cars as like every single person's first electric car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
right? Well, and I mean, there's all the indoor go-kart places and stuff too that are all moving to electric carts and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot.
That's a great point.
So if you were to then if you were to get in on the retrofit craze, what's your dream retrofit, turns an old car into a spaceship?
Sure.
So,
I used to have a 1974 Mercedes sedan, which I sold, and I had no problem selling it, but I tested the waters. I reached out to EV West. I was like, hey, I know you don't make a kit for this, because for some cars they make kits that bolt right in. I was like, I know you don't make a kit for this, but could we electrify this? And he's like, yeah, we can do it. It costs about $25,000. I was like, nah, I don't play in that space. I would love it. And I wish I would have electrified it, because it would have been awesome. It's a sweet looking car. It's the same color as that blue one right in the middle of the page.
Oh,
Mine had the color matched wheels, like the black one above it. So mine was blue on blue. And to make that an EV, it's not like that engine is, they made 1 million of these cars. So if I EV-ified this one, who gives a shit? There's always going to be someone who's like, ooh, how could you do that? I'm like, because they made 1 billion of these. The engine doesn't matter. Who cares? And it's better now that it's
nobody cares about the drivetrain in that car. Nobody bought it because it had whatever engine.
Right.
It was because of the inside and the luxury, and you're going to make it more. You're going to amplify that part of it anyway. So that's great.
So I would do that. I mean, there's tons of old classics I would love. I've even thought about what it would be like if I electrified my Montero. I have an old Montero, and just if I could put in enough battery pack into it to get decent range, so I could still use it like a gas vehicle. I think the torque off road would be very exciting. I like the idea of electric off roaders. But at the same time, I still want to do I go back and forth on that one. But I think if I could get the battery pack and the range without absolutely just destroying the weight, I think it would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Which Montero do you have?
I have the first gen 4-door, so the same body shape as the green one there with the Bring a Trailer logo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but mine looks way cooler than that one.
Is this the...
If you Google Hooniverse Montero,
okay.
I would assume mine would pop up. Not to be a jerk, but I think it would pop up.
Good SEO on it.
That one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that does look awesome. Yes.
Right? Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No,
yeah, we get 2 press cars a year sort of thing, but we got to drive around in a 4xe, a Wrangler 4xe last year. And I took it up into the mountains and did a couple off-road trails like in complete EV mode,
It's
and
amazing.
it was so awesome.
It's amazing. I just recently drove the Grand Cherokee 4xe, and it's the best one of the Grand Cherokees. They said it's the best
Yeah.
one.
That drivetrain
so
is
good.
perfect.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
It was awesome. Tons of torque. It had more power than the V8, and it was more efficient than the V6. I mean, it was crazy. I loved it.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
cheap, but yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, we had one press event where we drove the 392, the
that thing's
honking
awesome.
V8. Right. But like back to back with the 4xe.
Okay.
And we were just completely sold. Yeah, we loved it. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. I drove one to Mammoth and back. Or no, sorry, June Lake and back. And June Lake is probably somewhere between 6 and 8 hours north of here. It's way up there. And we did a family trip up to June Lake, and I like that on the road I could, recharge. I could put it into a mode so it's feeding the battery pack back, and then I could save that for when we were in town. Brilliant little thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love it.
absolutely. Yeah, it was. I loved my time with it so much.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because like EVs are pushing folks in interesting ways, right?
Yeah.
I think like when it comes to their vehicle buying choices. So I have a friend of mine who is like, this just happened last week. Like he just hit me up about this like a couple days ago, but he's getting his first EV. He's been wanting one for a while. He's getting an Audi e-tron, right? And it's going to be his daily driver.
Sure.
This is a guy that used to have like a 1996 two-door Tahoe that he completely restored, and it was perfect, like the perfect Tahoe, right? But now that he's getting the e-tron, he hit me up about maybe getting like an old farm truck as like a standard gas vehicle. Like that's going to be like his utility vehicle.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a flip from what most people do, where like they have like their gas car for normal stuff, then like say like a Leaf for city stuff.
Right.
But
he's like, that's my daily, and then I'm going to have something old and that I can screw around. I love that. That's great. That's great. And when we drove cross country back in 2019, we did it in an e-tron.
Okay.
And we did it to show. Initially, we were going to do it to at the time make a shot at the Cannonball record for electric cars, but then we looked at how fast it was, and we're like, nah. And the Electrify America network wasn't perfect yet, but then our goal was like just to show that you could do it just on the one network, not in a Tesla. And we did it. We just had to go farther south than we wanted, but we did it. So
okay.
But it was still, yeah. And Audi afterwards was like, do you want to do it again when we come out with the other thing? We're like, no. Even though the network's better now, because we couldn't cut across the Panhandle. We had to go all the way down to El Paso, which is like so much further south. We couldn't cut across Denver because it was or Colorado because it was too cold, and like so yeah. And the speeds are too high now. Like to actually take a crack at the record, like I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
It's gotten super crazy bonkers for sure.
Have you like what kind of resistance have you gotten for like an EV car show? Like has it been well received? Like what do you like?
We've gotten none. Everybody's been really excited about it. And the fun thing was too, we don't want to just make it we want it to be inclusive to all sorts of electric vehicles.
Right.
So we had a guy there with a first gen. Remember they made the RAV4 back in the day as an electric vehicle?
Yes.
He had one that he bought new, and it was in perfect shape. And he you asked him questions, and this dude would talk for an hour. It was wild. And then the one in the top right. Yep. Just like that one. And then we had a bunch of Teslas there, and they were all super chill dudes who weren't, there was I was a little worried that Tesla people, might try to be Tesla people, and there was none of that.
No Twitter Tesla folks showed up.
Yeah. There were some that were modified in like really interesting, cool ways. Like one guy's like, yeah, I used to be into the JDM tuning scene, and now I'm focusing on this, and I'm starting a business offering like wheels and suspension. And I was like, well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then there were, on the flip side, we had a guy who drove in an unfinished BMW, the hell was it? Like an E9 BMW. So just one of the gorgeous old BMWs. he's converting it to electric, and he basically drove in with it had no glass at all. It didn't have doors, and it was his project vehicle, but he drove it to the show that way. And we were like, that is impressive. There was another guy who had a Corvair, an EV swap Corvair that he drove all the way up from San Diego to LA, and he was driving it back. And we gave him best in show. And it was awesome.
I love Corvair so much. Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah. I can't believe he got away with driving a car with no glass or doors in LA.
I don't think he drove far. I mean, well, you know what? The funny thing is everybody thinks LA's rules are or California's rules are super strict. It's literally just smog based. So like that car is old enough that they can't even do anything about that. Like that dude could drive it that way.
Right. That's true.
And they can't, because we don't have safety inspections. It's literally just smog. And there's certain years you know how to play the game. You're good to go.
Yeah, it's the same here. Yeah, it's all just emissions, and I mean, you see some pretty janky stuff out on the roads for sure.
But yeah, man, the Corvair seems like such a great platform for EV stuff. Like
it's perfect,
right?
Yeah, huge trunk. The engine's back there anyway, and yeah, they can just make it work perfectly. And his car looked flawless. It was awesome. He drove up with his daughter. It was so cool.
I think the first like retrofit EV I saw was up at a car show in Eagle, Colorado. I think it's called like Wings of Wheels, something like that. It's a great car show. But a company called Beck had a Porsche 356 up there that was EV converted.
That's cool. Yeah.
And like their lead engineer was there. So I talked to him for a while. It was great. Yeah. Nice. It was so great seeing like the retrofit stuff. Yeah.
And Beck is huge in the vintage Porsche replica space. So that makes sense that they're already, getting ahead a little bit. Like, and I recently drove a Superformance, which makes Cobras and other cars like that. They're around the corner from my house, basically. And they have done an electric Shelby Cobra.
Oh, okay. All right.
It is the most insane thing I've ever driven. So they took the rear drive unit from a Tesla Model S, and they stuffed it into a Cobra. There's some batteries in the nose, and they've tuned it down as far as they can tune it before it goes into like a weird limp mode without having to rewire everything. And it is making 1,500 pound-feet of torque at the rear from zero.
Right.
When they first put it in, it was making 4,000 pound-feet of torque.
Oh my God. And the wheelbase is like this big. That's got to be insane.
It's so at 1,500, like you could just roll on the throttle and drive it and it was fine, but you could just be going along, and if you matted it, the tires would spin.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was there's two gauges, because there's like the electric gauge for the stuff, and then there's like a regular speedometer. And one of them measures like actual forward speed, but one of them is measuring wheel speed. And I think the electronic gauges are measuring wheel speed. So if you went into like a burnout, the wheel speed would show they told me once they got it to show 200 miles an hour when they're going 30. But the weird thing is it doesn't just like relax like a gas car's brake stand. There's this built up momentum in it, almost like a flywheel holds energy, and it wants to keep rolling a bit. It's
right, because there's no transmission, right? So
there's nothing to sap that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The axle, as soon as the tires catch, they want to keep rolling, and it's like, it was so cool. It was it's basically a concept car for them right now. I'm sure if people put down money, they'd build it. But the guy was even saying, he's like, we got to put we should do like a Mach-E instead of a Tesla Model S. I was like, yeah, because even then it would be a monster.
Right.
Or at least
100 pound-feet of torque.
Or at least power the front axle, maybe.
So they're saying, because they also make the Daytona Coupe, they want to do a dual motor all-wheel drive one, and that would be that would be the gnarliest thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Also, I mean, the Daytona Coupe is like,
it's so good.
Oh my God. It's the most beautiful car ever made.
Yes.
Ian, what do you think your dream retro EV conversion is? Because I have mine.
Well, honestly, I would, and I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Dave. So Dave is a Saab boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think like a Vigan or a 900 like an
SPG.
original 900 SPG. Because I feel like, I know you love those engines, but
Sure.
like I think it'd be rad to have something that is as spaceshipy as they look in traffic now.
Yeah.
Because they look so crazy next to modern cars. Especially when you see like a really clean one with clean glass, especially.
Right.
I think that would be just the coolest.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't hold that kind of stuff precious for sure. Right. And I think that that's like a lot of the stigma that like the resto mod and EV stuff needs to, like, folks need to chill out about that stuff. Right. I would love a suicide door drop top Lincoln Continental EV conversion. Right.
And those that could hold so many batteries without affecting like it. I've thought the Lincoln route before for sure. It'd be rad as hell. Yeah.
Right.
The only problem with the Lincoln is that it's already expensive, right? The nice thing about the Saabs is that they're still cheap for another 3 minutes or so.
Right.
Right.
But
like
you
a
could
64. Yeah.
Oh god. I mean, it would be great. Yeah, obviously. And it's not like you're going to make it heavier.
No. Yeah. I mean, you probably make it handle better by putting weight a little bit lower. And it's like one of the things we're doing. It's funny when you dive into engine swap stuff. I have an old Mercedes wagon that we've been trying to do an engine swap on for 8 years. But the funny thing was, when we were looking at it, when we got rid of the inline 5 turbo diesel that was in it, the V8 that we're going to put in weighs half as much.
Right.
That's
right.
crazy.
Is this like a 300 TD that you're doing a swap on?
Yeah.
Oh God,
someday.
I love swap 300 TDs so much.
Yeah.
I
want one.
Like the teak wood bike rack on the top.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
No,
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Podcast is over.
I don't want mine to
Shut
be
it down.
that. I don't want mine to be that fancy. I want mine to have like a little, like a 1 or 2 inch lift to it, and then some tires so I can like take it mountain biking and shit like that.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Nice.
You have some knobbies up top. You got knobbies on the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's funny because like my Montero and my mountain bike both have Fox shocks, which is super nerdy, but it makes me happy.
Right. Yeah.
So now we've transitioned into the other part of the show, which is Dave and Jeff bicycle talk. So now I'm just I'll just grab my wine.
Yeah.
You guys go ahead.
Nice. I love how big that glass is. It's like a huge glass.
Right. Yeah.
What you don't know is that I'm tiny. I'm just my head is just this. Yeah.
Drinking wine out of a pump.
Riedel. It's probably Riedel Crystal. It's probably like a $30 glass.
Yeah. You can't see I have a white cat here that I just
Nice.
that I'm petting menacingly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the bike front, you and I were talking a little bit before we started. I only got into it maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Guessing. I live in an area where I can ride to trails. I wasn't going to the gym anymore. I don't play basketball anymore. I needed to do something. I hate running.
Yeah.
And my neighbors were into it. And then one of them was getting out of the sport, and he had a used Trek, like a 2016 Fuel EX9. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy that off you. And I bought it off him. And then I rode for like 2 years on that bike. I was like, all right, I want a bike. I want it because it was a little small. I had this goofy stem to get the handlebars out, to make room in the cockpit area. And then I checked on the trade-in on the older Trek, and it was still worth like $1,000 at trade-in, which was wild. And then I waited for a Black Friday sale to bring the price down. And then I have barely seen in the cornerback a Trek Fuel EX9, 9.8 actually, because then 9.9s are fucking expensive and crazy. So the list price. So the list price of it was more or about what my Montero was $3,500.
Right.
My Jag was $6,000. The MSRP on that is $5,500.
Right.
I got it for I got it for like 4,
Yeah.
which is so much.
It's with full squish mountain bikes and high-end road bikes, it's so easy to do that like trope of like, the bike is more expensive than the car, which of course we're here for, right? Like, yes. I think all 3 of us would be perfectly fine riding a bike more expensive than our car. I have one flex that I don't know a lot of people have, is that my bike is also bigger than my car. I have a Fiat 500 Abarth, and my full 29er like on the back of that thing is
out.
You have that picture. Where is it? You should show it.
Am I sharing it? Yeah, I should be sharing it.
Oh no, it's still BMW E9 is what we're
Oh
seeing.
no, I'm gonna stop presenting and start presenting again. Yeah,
Nice.
I've been showing a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I had a picture of your Trek up and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
but like,
that's fantastic.
thank you, and I'm absolutely here for the gum sidewalls. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's my
Here,
straggler.
I'm gonna bring mine to frame since we're talking.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. If you tail whip your daughter's bike, you just win the podcast. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's what we're here for. Yeah.
I love this thing.
Right. I'm pinning it. You have big frame now. Yeah.
Yeah. These are.
I haven't gone to the dropper post yet, but I mean, yeah,
life-changing.
that's what everyone says. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing.
But yeah, this has Fox. My Montero has Fox. I've only had 29s because I've only been doing this for 5 years, but 12 speed, all the good stuff, one by drivetrain. The brakes are more complicated than most of the brakes on the other things. So I'm going to put this back so my voice actually projects into that mic.
That's no problem. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I'm all about like paint matching, or having the color of the bike like complement the car, right? Like
I get that.
Yeah, it's a good accessory, right?
Oh, that's
like
nice.
I want
that
them.
thing looks good.
Thanks, man. I want them to look good together, right?
I wanted to reach out to there's a couple of mountain bike painters I follow on Instagram who like do custom paint work, and it's like such a dumb way to spend money, but I really, really, really want. Hey, there we go. There's my baby.
Yeah.
I really, really want to do a full John Player special livery.
Yes,
because I love black and gold. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is, one of those painters just did that for Crank Brothers. They came out with, and I was like, you mother. Like I've been saying I want to do this for 3 years, but there's a full custom Crank Brothers that is full John Player special. I nearly shit myself.
I love that. You could always go golf, like get some blue and orange on there.
Yeah, right? I'm a big black and gold guy.
Yeah.
Though. That's I want to stay black and gold. And when I saw that bike, it hurt, but it was also really, really well done.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
I took a slightly. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say, didn't you paint match one of your bikes to the Saab, to one of your Saabs?
So it intended, my straggler, this guy here, was supposed to be like that. I had a 97 green Saab that I loved named Dusty Rusty that was just ridiculous. And I was going to do that I was going to paint match, I had this frame custom powder coated. I love Surly stuff. I love the old steel stuff, right?
Okay.
And I was going to paint match it to the Scarab green. That was the Saab color. But I took a different approach. I paint matched it to the color of my wife's eyes.
Wow.
So
well, Ian and I are just a bunch of chumps.
I'm adding some flowers to cart now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, because if my Mercedes is ever finished, I want to make it green, and I might have to steal your wife's eyes green.
Hey,
that's a good green.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's called Kelly's Eyes, this bike. So
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I'm the romantic.
Yeah. That's impressive though.
Yeah.
That is impressive. Since you like bike stuff, I was just on vacation. So this is going to sound a little pretentious, but I just had 2 back-to-back Hawaii trips. One was for my wife's work, and then one was for just our vacation. And I did one on the wife's work trip. She's like, hey, I have 2 down days because it's like my national sales meeting. She's like, why don't you go see about, there's that famous Haleakala crater. And I was like, oh yeah, that could be interesting. Then I thought, well, I've seen it. I've been up there for sunset before and it's amazing, but you got to wake up at like 3. And the ride down, it's probably like a group of 10 people on these real shitty bikes where they're
Yeah,
like,
the
just follow the
tourist
road,
bikes.
just follow the road. And like brakes are brakes. And
Yeah, you're
but then
getting
I
carpal
Googled-
tunnel from
oh
the,
yeah.
right.
Because it's 10,000 feet of elevation,
Right.
And then I Googled, there's actually a whole mountain bike area in this other part of Maui called Makawao, where they built trails, they're maintained, they're gorgeous. It's like a public funding project. There's jumps, there's wooden features, and it's all open. So I found a shop that rents bikes.
Right.
And I had to do a 2-day rental because they don't open till 10 because it's Hawaii.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I want to be riding by like 7:30. I want to be there and done, and I want to get back to the beach. And so I had to do a 2-day rental, but I went up, I picked the bike up. I rented a Jeep Gladiator, which is a whole different story into itself. But I rented this Jeep Gladiator, picked the bike up, brought the bike back to my room, put it in the room.
Yep.
Drove next morning, woke up, popped out. I flew with my helmet, my shoes, set of knee pads, the taint protector, and all that good stuff. And then I knew I was in for trouble because I was like, hey, so the climb, the initial climb is pretty easy, right? And the two people looked at each other, they're like, I mean, it's not hard, but I was like, oh fuck. Like I thought it was like a nothing climb. And it's in, I know this isn't Colorado numbers, but in less than 3 miles, it was like 1,000 feet of elevation, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's steep. Yeah.
It was,
a lot.
but it was never technical, and it was never nothing super steep. It just never stopped. Where it's like,
Just
I don't know where I
grinding.
am. If you ride the trail, you're like, all right, I'm 3/4 of the way. I'm this.
Right,
For me, it was
right.
like, and I was the only one in the woods. I'm like, it's kind of fucking spooky. Like one
That's how
headphone
horror
out,
movies start.
so you
Jeff.
can be like, what was that? What was that?
Yeah.
And then I got up to the top. I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm not exhausted, but I'm like, that was longer than I thought. So I knew I was only going to get one loop in. So I should have done the cheesy shit and rented an e-bike to cut the climb in half. And I did
Right.
not. I would like to go back there. And it was a little wetter. I shouldn't have even been out there. So the corners were a little wet. And I was like, this is sketchy as fuck. I wore my full face helmet, which you don't need there. But if I went down, I just wanted the extra layer of protection being by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 hours before anyone else on the island woke up.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
screaming. Yeah. There were some hikers who showed up, but some of the trails were even directional and mountain bike only. Like that's how focused it was, which was
Nice.
super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
that's
cool.
awesome.
Have you had a situation where you couldn't make cars and bikes work, like from getting to point A to B? Like, give me that, because I couldn't find a rack for my LS 460, and that killed me. But yeah,
I mean, I am a big fan of the Sea Sucker. The
the
suction,
suction cup mounts. Yeah,
I've driven from here to Yosemite and back, which is a very long drive. I had an Audi RS5 sedan, the 4-door RS5, the bigger one. We were going to Yosemite, and it's like 6 hours each way, minimum. And I had my mountain bike on top because we're just going to cruise around Yosemite when we were there. But when I would stop for gas, I would just look at the pumps, see if it was okay, just give them a couple quick things. And I drove there and back with a suction cup mounted bike rack on the roof. I've also got on the local toll road here if I've had something sporty, just to see speed wise what I can handle. It was pretty good. There's also a bike park. You got to drive up the mountain to Arrowhead, which is about an hour and a half away near Big Bear. And it's a real curvy, windy road. And I had a Camaro ZL1. And I threw my bike on the top of that. And I got nervous in the twists because, the bike still leans and it's like putting stress on it. But it was fine. It was me stressing about it. And I did the same thing in an E63 wagon, which less stressful, but, more fun of a car. But I still do prefer when it's mounted to the back of my truck because I have the through the spare tire mount. So it hangs off the back of the truck.
right.
But I can vouch for the fact that the Sea Sucker is incredibly impressive, and you can put it on anything. That's actually my buddy's rack. So
okay.
he has a Tahoe, and we wanted to drive the Raptor to go drive these trails that were farther away. It's called Hulda Crooks, which is pretty great trailhead. So my bike's the blue bike, and then his bike, and then that BMC is like our fancy. That's a very fancy bike.
Yeah, it is.
It's like $10,000 bike.
Yeah. That's amazing. And it I love the the very fast car, very fun car as like the shuttle car.
Yes.
Because like if you have to, like if you're jockeying like with your friends, like, okay, like, well, you guys do the run, I'll shuttle the car like this time, right? Like you want that to be fun, right?
Yeah. We don't shuttle enough. We don't do enough shuttling out here. There's one or two that we can do, and I haven't done them in a while. But yes, 1,000%. I'm friends with the guy who runs the Lone Wolf, which is a mountain bike website, and they just did a test of a side by side with bike racks on the back, and I was like, oh, he lives in Bend, Oregon, and I'm like, that looks so awesome.
What's a side by side?
It's the
UTV,
2-person UTV thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And they make who is it? Was it Yamaha? Someone just came out with one called like the Trailhead Edition, where it's half. It splits the body style. So like with UTVs or side by sides, there's utility ones which you would see like working on farms, and then sport ones which you would see ripping through the desert. And then there are these ones in the middle, which I forget the term for them, but they're like, it has the fun front, and then there's like maybe a little bit of utilitarian bed. This is a version of that, and they put a bike rack on it so they could load up the bikes and just rip. And it looks fun.
That's pretty brilliant. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, those would be great for just like camping. Like just
for sure,
loading stuff in the back for camping or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I like those things. They're fun.
Yeah. So give us the take on e-bikes then. Right.
I don't have one. The guy in my group, it feels like it's growing constantly. Who's riding them? I don't have a problem with them, especially because it's allowed people who maybe wouldn't be able to ride. Get the laps in. So I don't have a problem with them. I'm still riding my bike for exercise, though I know you can get your heart rate up with an e-bike. You can turn the power down. I don't dislike them. There are certain instances where I would love to have one, but I'm not moving that way yet, but I don't disparage people who do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Especially for the accessibility angle.
I even saw a road bike one today.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It was a Trek road bike e-bike. Like it looked like a normal e-bike, and then it had that fat down tube, and I was like, oh shit, I feel like you've seen it more in the mountain bike side of things, or like hybrid city tours.
Right. The only time I had a problem like with an e-bike was when I was riding for exercise and somebody just like cruises past me, and like I just have to get past that person. Like Hey everybody, this is Dave. I just want to let you know that we have a little bit of a cut here. So Jeff had to step away for a second to put his daughter to bed. And when he came back, the conversation took a bit of a turn, but we're going to keep it all in because it's a fun conversation. I just wanted to let you know that it's kind of drastically changing for a little bit here. But anyway, back to it. We love you. Remember when we used to think our parents just did like the most fun stuff when we like went to bed, and then smash cut to you just like Grubhubbing tacos and passing out.
It was a good timing too, because I was due for another one.
Yeah.
And apparently mom needed a Fresca for her tequila drink, so
as you do
on a Sunday.
Well, because you just put the kids to bed, and that's what you need.
The kid,
right?
Okay.
Just the one. We're good.
I have two, and it's like
every now and then we think like, man, it'd be nice if she, had somebody to play with, but we're good and
make friends.
Exactly.
I entered the cheat code and skipped straight to grandkids.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How the hell did you do that?
My second marriage. My wife had adult kids. And
wow.
So we have grandkids. Just like I put in the Konami code, and like now just
like cool. Yeah. No, I've skipped it. One of my buddies who's a similar younger guy has a grandkids as well. So.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I never wanted to be a parent, but now I freaking love these grandkids.
Sweet. That's the way to do it.
Right.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna send you mine just for like a weekend, just so you can get the full.
I'm aware of.
No, we never wanted to go that route, and then all of a sudden, as time marched on, it was like, hey, I don't want to do what the birth control does to my body anymore. I'm like, I get that. I'm like, I haven't worn a condom in a decade. I'm not going to start now. Like, we both know we've pulled the goalie, you know, like, all right, we're good. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah.
And now I've made it so that there are no more shots to be scored on goal from my end.
As have all three of us. Right. Just the three.
Yeah.
The Three Sterile Men podcast.
Yeah. My guy, this is going to be, and you can use this. You don't have to cut this because this shit is funny. My guy who did it owns a website that was like Mr. or drvasectomy.com. He's like the leading guy here in Orange County.
Okay.
And he's done thousands of this procedure where his procedure is the like the there's like no cutting.
Oh.
He like shoots Novocaine through your skin, and then there's like a tiny incision, and it's like the smallest shit. But he's a car guy. So as he's doing it, he's talking to me about cars. And he also knows Rory Carroll, who was former guy in charge of Jalopnik. Before that, he was at other places. Now he's since moved on to like one of the auctions, Arm Sotheby's. But he called him Rory Calhoun, which I'm like, no, he's not Rory Calhoun, it's Rory Carroll. He's like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Because he talked to Rory about advertising in Road and Track a long time ago or some shit like that. It's like the weirdest thing. But come to find out, this guy has a BMW Z8. He's friends with Henrik Fisker. And I'm like, my legs are up. Talking about this shit. But I could have driven myself home. I couldn't recommend this doctor enough, even though I cannot remember his name right now. But if you live in Orange County and you need the person, Jeff@Hooniverse.com. I will Google it. I will find it for you. This guy was awesome.
Enter coupon code Hooniverse on his website.
He was even in an episode, I guess, once of like Real Housewives. In the background is like one of the men on the show was coming to get it done, and they went to his office for it, and that shit's hilarious.
Oh, that's amazing.
Really
yeah, I love it.
So mine I did 2 weeks after our youngest was born. Just make sure everything's good. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, and I just did it at like, it was my GP happened to be
in an alley one night. Yeah.
His van was immaculate.
Yeah.
But it was a GP's office, and he just happened to do them in the GP office. And so when you would bring the sample back in for the verification, you were just like leaving it on the counter in a regular GP office. So I didn't want to
make me laugh.
I didn't want to.
I would like slam it down and be like, you want to know what's in here?
Well,
it's not your lunch, people. Right?
So I put a picture, Dave, in the show folder. So first of all, they gave me 2 cups, and I was like, I don't know what you think is going to go on, but I'm not going to I'm not having a party.
Right.
And then I didn't want it to get mixed up with other samples, someone's lunch or whatever. So I wanted to make sure I clearly marked and identified it. And so Dave will show you the picture of what I did.
Please tell me you wrote
we're still seeing the Raptor, Dave.
Oh no, what's with sharing tonight?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's not like Google's a big company that it should have shit figured out, right?
Right. Right. There you go. There's Ian's. Yeah.
It's nice. Take 2.
Take 2.
Firm. I like that.
Had to do it 3 times because the first one they found a dead guy in there, and they were like,
oh really?
Yeah. The second one they said was contaminated, and then I got a talking to about proper technique, and I was like, again, I don't know what you imagine.
I've been doing this for years, and it always works.
Pretty good at it at this point. Yeah. So and then between all that, my doctor retired, and so it was like I was in this weird limbo for weeks, and I sent Dave a GIF of the Dukes of Hazzard jumping over a ravine, and I was like, live look inside my scrotum right now, apparently, because I thought they were bridging the gap.
Yeah, found a shortcut.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Because some of the other medically viable options for what was happening to you, Ian, was very complicated. You could have learned a lot about yourself during this process.
Yeah. I tried to. I didn't do it. I was going to pitch Bentley on a story where I'm like, yo, let me borrow like a Mulsanne or something and then get driven home from this. And I'll write about like the best
my
cars
God.
to get driven home from a vasectomy.
Yeah.
And I never did it, but I feel like Bentley would have been like, yeah, we'll do that. That sounds awesome.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All the other stories are boring that people pitch us. That's way more interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
yeah, I will say that if you do this, you'll get some weird looks from the receptionist. But
Sure. But I will also say to any men listening on the fence, it is way safer for
Yeah.
us to do it than it is for women to do it. It is
Yeah.
horrific on their body.
Right.
And it is like, I didn't even, the second day, I didn't take any pain pills because I didn't need it and I wanted to drink wine. So I didn't take any of the pain pills. I'm like, I'm having a glass of fucking wine tonight. I felt fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frozen peas, and I stayed off the bike 1 week.
Oh man, 1 week, Jesus! I was like a month.
Yeah.
1 week is bold.
that was pushing
it was
a bit.
fine. I would,
Yeah.
like, I am what's known. My wife calls me her soft boy because I'm very oh God, it's easy for me to get cut, bruised. Like, I'm very sensitive, outside and inside, right? And so, trust me, if I wasn't ready to ride the bike after a week, I would
know.
not have been
Yeah.
on that bike. I'm not the tough guy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, you're completely right. And there needs to be more advocacy for this because, like, dudes just need to get it done, right?
Oh,
like, yeah, right. Just get it done.
It's a nothing process. It is
Yeah.
a nothing process.
Right. This is our Bob Barker spay and neuter your pets moment on the podcast.
And it's new to yourselves, you damn animals.
Yep. Yeah. Boy, the podcast is taking a turn, and I am here for it. I am here
Cut
for
your
it.
balls off, motherfuckers.
Yes, please do.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen most of you. We don't need any more.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking, Ian? I'm curious.
I have a Merlot that I got at my preschooler's school auction the other night.
They auction wine at a school.
There was a ring toss, and you buy 3 attempts, and you get to ring a bottle of wine. And I run this one.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Sorry, I ask because we always ask on we talk about what we're drinking on my podcast because maybe alcohol's involved a little too much, but that's what we do.
No, I usually I have whiskey, but I'm sadly out of whiskey.
Oh.
So
I have that Japanese whiskey over here for you.
oh yeah,
Suntory?
I need that.
Yeah. Yeah. I bought him a bottle, and then we basically just started doing the podcast remote because of COVID. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm just over here with my throat coat herbal tea.
Oh, nice.
Woo!
Did you guys have guests in this format before COVID?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. I think the when we realize, I think the guests that when we look back on it before COVID, when COVID started, that we were like, oh, we're going to be fine with guests. I mean, Alex Roy came to us from like the closet of the New York Auto Show with like people like vacuuming around him and stuff like that. And that
he
was probably
hiding
the most,
behind scenery.
yes.
That seems very Alex. Sure.
Yeah. And I think that was probably the most like challenging one for Dave to master audio wise, right?
That's
probably.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right.
We're both
you
IT
might be-
guys, so
I hope you're not
figure it out.
screwed with my audio because I'm using a different webcam and a different mic. And I found I've tried to see if I can force this to be to try to focus on frame rate because I discovered that this webcam, which is a nice webcam, it changes frame rate as it's recording, which fucks your audio up. So when you go to drag this into Premiere, your audio is at a consistent rate. And so over time, they just go out of sync. But then I found there's a program. Let me just look it up. I mean, you might even already know, but I had to use this the other day and it actually worked perfectly. Where the hell is it? I don't see it, so maybe I'm screwed. I'll find it again another day, but it's called like Break or something like that, where you literally just say this, you put the file in and you say, I want this to be a constant frame rate. And it takes like an hour to render it because it's, a huge ass file, but it comes out on the other side, it synchronized.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have trouble with mine, I will let you know what I used to clean it up. But I discovered, like, oh, I got a fancy this and I got a fancy this, and then they don't talk to each other. It's stupid.
Right. Yeah. Like we deal with that like in so many aspects of our hobbies, right? Like we deal with that in the tech, we deal with it in bikes, we deal with it in cars, right? Like, yeah, like please just like have a standard, somebody adhere to it, right?
Speaking of
those
tech,
are bolt-in. Bolt-in mods.
Right. Speaking of tech in bikes, not to bring it back to bikes because Ian's eyes will glaze over, but this also goes back to EVs and the e-bike thing. One of the guys I ride with opened up during COVID his own little side business working on people's bikes, and he rides with us. So we're like, hey, Brian, my shifter's being weird. He's like, I'll pick your bike up. He'll pick our bikes up, take them home, work on them. And bring
concierge.
them back.
Okay. Yeah.
But he has, so Ian, there's something called Axis, AXS, which is Bluetooth-based shifting or dropper post or stuff like that. So thinking about putting it on my bike. I was trying to avoid doing that, but if you look on the front of a modern bike, there's there's 4 cables usually.
Mm-hmm.
This eliminates one of those cables, and then it also over time your derailleur, which is the rear thing on the back of the bike, which changes gears, bounces around. With the Bluetooth one, you never have to adjust it. It like self adjusts, and you can shift harder under load, and you can do all this stuff. And it sounds super awesome, but I'm just worried about introducing battery tech to my bike. So I'm going to have to
go riding. I forgot to plug in my bike.
Right.
Yeah, that would be bad. But I will say that I have never once adjusted a derailleur and not made it worse. Like,
yeah. Right. No, because
never ever happened.
I didn't even realize until like 2 years ago that you could right at the barrel on the shifter, you could like go forward or backwards to like adjust a little bit. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a game changer. Like it doesn't fix the problem, but it'll get you home.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But apparently with this Bluetooth Axis shifter, you don't have to do any of that shit.
That's pretty awesome.
I like having like these steel bikes, but also like carbon fiber crankshafts on them. I like mixing this, right? And so like having like that old like the Saab SPG and an EV drivetrain, like I'm here for it, right?
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I have a Surly road bike that I want to rebuild, and I think I might go like the full SRAM e-shifting stuff and all that. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm tempted. My guy said he has 3 of them sitting in his garage right now. I was like, fuck. Not cheap either.
Yeah. But,
and I have like shit stacking up I got to do on the cars, which is about to be a nightmare. And
yeah. I still have the picture of Ian's sperm up. I'm going to take that down because I think we have a couple games that we want to play with you.
We're still seeing it, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're going to keep seeing it. Ian.
This is the game.
It's the most dangerous game.
This is a much grosser guess
really
the number of jelly beans.
Game. Even though Squid Game was a fucked up Squid Game.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. So, Ian, what do you want to do? FMK Cars license plate game?
Let's just wrap up with a license plate game, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so go, Ian, would you mind describing the license plate game?
Yeah, so this is a game we play on the show. It's basically, it's like Highlights Magazine Matchy Match. So you get a picture of 3 cars with the license plates blacked out. Okay. They're all going to be vanity plates, and then we're going to give you the text of those vanity plates, and you have to match it to the car. This really rewards like just stereotyping and gross generalization of people. You want to get context clues from mods on the car and that sort of stuff, stickers.
I love vanity plates, so I am here for this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a fun game.
Most people hate them. I love them.
How many vanity plates have you had, and what have they said? There's obviously the car.
2 on the wall behind me.
Okay.
One says Hoon Truck, and the other one says a Benz, which was so funny to me that was available because it's so stupid. When I got it, I couldn't stop laughing when I put it on my Mercedes. I was like, it says a Benz. How is this available?
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And I have one on my Montero and my Jag actually right now.
Okay. What's the Jag one say?
The Jag says 2 inline 4, so it's because it's a V8. It's a V8 swap Jag. But one time I was at a gas station before we get to the game. One time I was at a gas station, and the Jag has 2 rear tanks. So you have to fill up two separate tanks. Thankfully, the car that it like boat tails in, doesn't matter which side you pull up to. So I'm filling them up and I'm moving between the two gas tanks, and somebody behind me sees the plate 2 inline 4. He's like, he gets all wide eyed. He's like, yo, dude, does that have 2 engines?
Yes.
And like, I started being like, what? I'm like, you know what? I can't fault this guy for that question. Because he's seeing me fill up 2 gas tanks and it says 2 inline 4s. I'm like, oh, no. I was making a joke. It's a V8. There's a V8 in front. He's like, oh, cool. But I was driving away. I'm like, that was really funny. But also like, that guy's not that crazy for asking that.
No, not at all. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll let you take it in. We'll narrate. Yeah. What you see.
And I haven't seen these either.
Yep. There you go. So this is for you and Ian. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, and these are all electric cars. This is shocking plates.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Theming it up. I like it.
Here we go. All right.
Okay. So we've got
Apple Car is already annoying.
yeah.
5 GTX. Good Lord. Somebody made a bad decision.
So we have two Teslas and an e-tron, right? And we can zoom and enhance, if you want to take a closer look.
I feel like the two, like the Global and the Apple Car, are going to be on the Teslas. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Okay. See,
I feel like
this game, you follow your gut, right?
So I feel like Apple Car is definitely one of the Teslas, and if I'm wrong, that Audi owner needs to be slapped. But because Apple Car is on one of the Teslas, and Global, unless it means something else that I'm missing.
Yeah. So for the audio listeners, the plates available are 65 GTX, Apple Car, AAPL Car, and then global,
like Global Electric, maybe.
Especially because the Apple Car plate, the way they spelled Apple is the stock name.
Ticker.
So it's definitely a Tesla.
Right.
Oh, and that's a good point.
Global or Global or
well, so my thing
could be Glob Electric.
Oh, Glob Electric, but
I'm still going. I'm staying. Apple Car and Global are the Teslas, and weirdly, I don't know why, but 65 GTX I am applying to the Audi.
What do you think is going on there? Do you think that was like a previous car plate that got moved?
If they traded that in, they deserved. And again, we talked about how we all love electrics, but a GTX is one of the raddest things. I don't even know if they made a 65 GTX. I feel like the GTX was like a little bit later.
Which Googling.
I think this could go 2 ways. Like they're bragging about the other car that they want you to know they have an e-tron and something else. Or like it's an NVIDIA worker and there was some NVIDIA GTX graphics card.
Which would work for an Audi because they have NVIDIA graphics.
That's right. They do the NVIDIA grid stuff. Yeah. Yep.
The GTX is a 67 and on.
See, that's why it's weird.
Right.
I wasn't crazy.
No.
My only thought about Global is that, I mean, and this is my problem with this game, is I way overthink this, but Bell is spelled like Beauty Bell, like BELLE, except there's only one L here.
Right.
So this could be like a makeup person, Glow Bell.
Could. Right. I see what you're saying. I get that.
I love the crazy conclusions you jump to, Ian.
I think
but that's a decent thought.
So I agree with you on the Apple Car thing for sure. I think that is good. Definitely Tesla, and I would say on the Model 3. Because I feel like when we see the plates, I feel like the most obnoxious ones are on the 3s and the Ys. Don't you think?
I hear what you're saying there. Yeah, that 65 GTX plate now is bothering me even more that we've confirmed that I am not crazy about the year. So that feels good.
We apologize for the insomnia induced by this podcast.
Like, what else could that be? What else could that be?
Right?
I mean, it could be some boomer who doesn't know what year car they have, but they like live and die by that shit.
Right.
He's got the peekaboo doll in the corner, like against the fender of his GTX.
Right.
I'm staying with my choices.
Okay. Like out of the two Teslas, the S and the 3, what do you think has the Apple Car?
I agree with what Ian said. I think Apple Car is on the 3.
Okay. Okay. All right. And Ian, what's your answer? What are you locking?
Wait.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm changing it to the red. The Model S is Apple Car.
Okay. Okay.
Because also the color of the car.
Okay. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I will call out that 2 of these people have license plate frames. 1 does not, and I have a problem with that.
Well, this is an ongoing thing with us,
Yeah.
is that I'm
That's the-
very ambivalent about license plate frames, and Dave is very much like,
you gotta
I know
have at
mandatory.
least the minimum thing.
I don't have one on my Jag, but I like it because my Jag is black, and then in California we have the black and
Black
gold
plate
plate,
Jags.
so
yeah.
it blends in with the back. But
That's
on the,
perfect.
on the Montero, it says my other car sucks, and then it says 24 hours of lemons.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Ian?
I think I'm going to go 65 GTX on the S.
Okay.
I'm going to go Globel on the Audi e-tron and Apple Car on the 3.
All right.
I could see him being correct. I could see it.
I will give one of you very good news that one of you
boy.
is completely correct.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you are correct, Jeff. You got it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last minute change.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
no,
no,
I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
Right. I'm not right because
Oh my God.
I changed it.
I had
I
it.
was
yeah.
right.
You were right.
I was right.
You were right about the
I'm
Audi
gonna blame Pat in
e-tron.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the specialty plate? Does that help us
Which one? The bottom
explain?
or the
There's a
65 GTX?
oh,
It's a fish.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't know
fish.
that
It's
plate.
like save our oceans, protect our oceans. Yeah.
It'd be funny if that was not a personal plate and that was just whatever the special plate
Right.
like
just
comes
spat
out
out.
to be, and we're all like, "What GTX? Like, there's no 65 GTX."
And they get that at every gas station that they go to, right?
What the fuck does Globel mean?
Right? Yeah.
But
you are spot
I had it,
on.
and then I reversed the Teslas.
That's okay. You still beat Ian. That's the only important
Yeah, but-
thing.
Like we were talking about overthinking it. I was like, "Red car. It's an
Right.
Apple."
Yeah.
Right. But the douchey plate on the like lower end Tesla.
He was totally right.
Yeah.
Ian was totally
Good job,
right.
Ian. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so anybody can text us license plates. We have, some folks just that like, so Pat and Dana texted these to us, 720-515-1391. Just text us vanity plates and I have a hopper of over 100 plates just waiting for a theme just like today,
That's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah. So there you go. Just
But you see what I
text
mean? Like, it really does reward just gross generalization, because
Totally.
your first instinct is almost always right. And I remember we saw the worst Tesla plate we've seen so far.
Mhm.
This is pretty close, but the other one was a shareholder,
Oh,
Right.
gross.
Right. Yeah.
right? And that was the noise that everyone we've showed it to has made. Like, oh,
What an asshole.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that
So
person
good-
is definitely storming into your mentions right now on Twitter.
That's fine. Fuck them.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you for playing Jeff, because you killed it. Yeah. And thank you, Pat
Almost
and Dana,
killed it.
for sending
Almost
those in.
killed
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then so Jeff, I think we've done a car show. I will leave it up to you. We have another game we can play it, or we
I'm
can wrap
down.
it up.
If you guys have time, I'm always down. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, let's do it. All right. So this is another game we play on the show called FMK Cars. It's based on the classic game Fuck, Marry, Kill. But we play with cars instead of people because we're nice.
Sure.
And this one has a twist. And this is one from the archives. Basically, I Control F'd my notepad that I have with all of these in it and just looked for the word bicycle, and I found one
Oh,
from like 3 or 4 years ago. Here we go. All right. This one's called One for All and All for, oh dear God, please don't let this car be unreliable. Cars with all in the name.
oh,
Okay. So with this, you're going to get a car that has the word all in it,
okay.
in the name, and you're going to have a transportation twist. So you're going to have to transport all of something of yours. So the first one is a 2004 Lambo Gallardo. Has the word
Wow.
all in it, right?
I would not have thought of a Gallardo. I was thinking like Travelall and like
Yep.
those sort of things. Okay.
Is the screen updating? Do you see Lambos?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it. I see
Woo.
the Gallardo.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm gonna say that it's the F1 transmission, the not the manual.
Gear.
Yeah, e-gear, right? Thank you. And then with the catch with this though is that you have to transport all of your bicycles with it.
Oh,
That's a lot of suction cups.
the good news is that I have one bike.
Well, I see two in frame right now.
That
I'm
one
gonna
can
say
fit in
that
the passenger seat. That one can fit in the passenger seat. And the fun thing with some of these, if it has the one that has the wing, I always wanted to do the bike mounted onto the wing. But
Yes.
then the problem with the Lambos and the suction mounts is you're putting suction mounts over the engine, and
Right.
those suction mounts are not going to stay. I almost one time reversed a suction mount to the front glass and front hood of a McLaren 720, and I was like, I can't do this. I am going to get in trouble. I almost drove with it on the front part of the car. I'm like, this would look hilarious, but I cannot do this.
Just go straight out from the side glass instead. You know,
Right? Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the blade.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Okay. This one, Dave, prepare to spell wrong live on podcast.
Looking forward to it, Ian.
1964 De Tomaso Vallenga.
Yeah, Valenga.
Vallenga. Vallelelunga.
Thank you, Google, for completing it for me.
That is a
Okay.
damn good looking machine.
Right?
It's beautiful.
It almost looks like an
Unfortunately,
Italian Porsche 904.
yes, or an Italian like Lotus Europa or something. Like it's kind of got that same sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
You have to transport all of your electronics with this.
Oh.
Hmm.
You know what? Here's the thing. If I had this car, I would have an assistant and I wouldn't give a shit about making my videos or my podcast anymore. So I would have a MacBook Air.
Right.
And I would
like
have
one action cam.
I would have like a Leica camera because I'm, pretentious. Or actually, I'd probably have like whatever the smallest Hasselblad they make it.
Right. Yeah.
Even though my Sony is great, I have the Sony A7S III, which I love. So it would be a MacBook Air and my iPhone, and I would literally not own other electronics because I would be driving to my house in Lake Como, and I wouldn't have social media accounts. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't care. I would have an email address on my phone. You can reach me, you can call me. I wouldn't. If I had computers, I would throw them. I wouldn't litter. I don't want to litter. I'm not a litter guy, so I wouldn't do that.
You would
But
donate them to a school.
Yes,
Right.
there you
Yes.
go.
You would throw them.
I would buy out the classroom. I'd be like, you guys want fucking the new MVP 14 inches? Fuck, let's go. Send them. So I could very easily carry all my electronics. I would have one
Okay.
laptop and one phone, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are not setting parameters to cage me in. So my answers are going to.
I was gonna be me. I was gonna be like, well, that was a lovely vision
Right.
into your ideal thing, but that was not
But
the
you-
game.
Right, but you, all I have is I have the Mac Mini, and then I have I actually don't have that much stuff.
Okay.
I mean, my Peloton is electronic, but
We wouldn't count. Oh no, that has to go in the Lambo.
right,
I'll tell you what. You could put it in either one.
yeah,
You
no,
could put it has to go in one of them.
I would mount that to the roof of the Lambo because who cares about the Lambo after seeing this?
Okay, and the last one is a 2005 Vauxhall VXR 220.
Oh, okay, the little Saturn
little-
Sky looking motherfucker.
Yeah. Those things look so freaking good, man.
I've seen one of these once in the States,
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
not counting actual Saturn Skies.
Right. Because those were cool
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you and your just a quick aside. So you and your co-host, you guys drink on the podcast. What's your drink of choice usually? Is it whiskey?
No, I'm a beer guy. Even though like off camera, it's much more wine.
Yeah.
And then also during COVID, I got into tequila.
Okay. And then what about your co-host? What do you?
He is a whiskey bourbon guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to transport all the whiskey you think he will need for a month.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I have to divide that between the 3 cars, correct?
Yeah.
So basically the twist goes with the car. So you're gonna F one of them. You're gonna do one of them for a day.
I got it.
One of them's gonna be your new daily driver with the stuff in it, and one
Yeah.
of them you send to the crusher.
Okay,
And
so right off the bat, I'm going to kill the Vauxhall because Ron can afford his own bourbon. Sorry, Ron. You can do whatever you need to do, and I'm going to marry the Di Tomosa. No question about it. It's
Okay.
absolutely beautiful. And then I'll have a little fling with the Lambo, and then we'll be like, all right. E-gear, get out of here because you're a terrible transmission. It was so jerky, my bike flew off the roof. But yeah, I would marry the shit out of that. Valalengua. I can't even pronounce it.
I
would
love
learn.
the minimalist utopia you've envisioned.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if we were wealthier people,
Right.
we wouldn't care about, but we're forced to because of where we exist in society
I mean,
and what
but
we
you-
do for work.
But you say that, how many of the top 10 richest people show their ass on Twitter like
They
constantly?
do, but would you?
Well, no. I mean, I
Yeah.
say that, but I'm not one, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like if one of the 3 of us was like worth 150 million, like maybe we would occasionally post like, oh hey, like none of us would want to be like that. I'm guessing. I don't want to speak for us all,
Sure.
obviously, but I'm guessing based on like just talking to you, fine gentlemen. Like none of us are like, look at me, look at me, look at me. So
No,
even though
and once you see
this
how
guy
many-
painted his bike like his wife's eyes, but we'd be like, oh man, it's really great that I'm rich, but the rest of you don't need to see that.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the world.
Well, and once you see how many people watch this on YouTube, I think you'll be very confident in how little we care about how much people hear us.
Do you do just YouTube?
No. We do audio and YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, since we brought the podcast back after a long hiatus, and then I started putting it on my YouTube channel, and it was like killing my YouTube channel. I was talking to Matt Farah about it. He's like, yeah, dude, algorithm hates that shit. It's like you're trying to do 2 different channels. He's like, that's why we started a separate channel. And as soon as I started the separate channel, our video reviews started like returning back to normal. I was like, what the fuck was that about?
Right.
So we have like 50 subscribers on the Hooniverse podcast channel, but most of the listens come through Apple and Spotify anyway. So
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I think we did a car show.
I think
Dave,
so.
Dave,
Yeah.
what do you
We
think?
did a car, bike, vasectomy awareness show.
We did a vasectomy awareness show,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is the most important part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Second to figuring out how to pronounce De Tomoso Vallelonga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Double
from
L's,
Missouri.
no
Don't
L,
trust me.
one
to,
L,
Yeah.
L, right?
Yeah.
Vallelonga.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Vallelonga.
Vallelonga. Yeah.
I feel right.
Yeah.
I like it. Jeff, if people enjoyed spending time with you, what should they do? Where should they go?
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Hooniverse Jeff. Go to the Hooniverse YouTube channel, subscribe there. Find our podcast, Hooniverse Podcast, also on Hooniverse.com, on Spotify, on Apple, all that BS, where all the podcasts are, blah, blah, blah. Go to the Auto Trader YouTube channel and like and subscribe there. Don't go to the UK one because they're way better than us. I don't know if we're not the same company.
I didn't
And
realize that.
Auto Trader UK has way more subscribers, and their main host is Rory Reed, who is incredible.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
and
the
they're-
first thing that came up. Yeah.
Yeah,
He used to be
Yeah.
Top Gear, yeah.
yeah. Rory Reed is one of the best presenters in the game, and their video quality is amazing, and they are not us. So do not confuse us. I love Rory Reed's shit. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan of his. Find just regular Auto Trader with like almost 100,000 subscribers, not Auto Trader UK with like almost 1 million or more. We're the smaller one.
Gotcha.
So do that.
We like small and scrappy here. We're
Yep.
into it.
Absolutely.
Cheers to
Yes, absolutely do all that stuff. Dave, what should people do for this
Yeah.
nonsense?
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube. Absolutely Texas Vanity Plates. 720-515-1391. We'll throw them in the hopper. We'll get them in a game. Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We love you. Thank you. Goodbye.